to the Crooked P. Today, Angie and I are visiting the town of Ruthton, Minnesota. On September 29, 1983, on a cold, rainy Thursday morning, bank owner Rudolph Blythe and his first loan officer, Deems Thulin, who everyone called Toby, were lured to a farm site they had previously foreclosed on 4 years before, to meet with an interested buyer. They did not know the interested buyer was Jim Jenkins and his son, Steve, the previous owners that had stopped making payments and let the farm site go back to the bank.
Native Americans believed Leland had protective qualities, and used it in ceremonies. So that's why we'll burn it when we're done.
Okay.
I'm excited to try this.
Me too.
Hey, if it was good for the Native Americans, it's good for us.
Yep.
You're not making fun of Miriam.
What?
You're not making fun of Miriam.
I am not.
Okay.
I'm trying to find the Rudolph Blythe residence.
Rudolph Blake?
Blythe.
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 Leo. It's Leo Avenue. So it's this house right here. Shit, I'm not gonna be able to see it.
Where?
This is where the banker lived. Leo Avenue. 300 East Leo Avenue. His wife would have pulled up in front of that house on September 28th because it was her birthday. She just got back from Dallas. And the murder happened the next day.
He killed her?
No,
No.
the farmers killed her husband.
Oh.
Yes.
Is there a front street view?
This is the front seat.
Oh.
So it's just,
Yeah, you can't walk up there.
no, I know people live there.
We are now going to Etna Street, where the Buffalo Ridge Bank was. It is now called the First Independent Bank, but back in 1977, when Rudolph Blythe purchased the bank, it was called Buffalo Ridge State Bank. This was a dream come true for Rudy, who always dreamed of owning a small town bank far away from Philadelphia, where he was from. Here in Ruthton, Rudy thought he could make a difference, help people, make the town grow, becoming a part of something greater than himself. Because Rudy was from Philadelphia, he did not understand the dynamics of the rural community and did not always make the best decisions on the loans he approved.
Just to fill you in on what happened on the morning of September 29th, 1983, I'm just going to read from the court trial transcripts so you know exactly what happened. When we start out, we're referring to James and Stephen Jenkins. The two arrived at their old farm at 8:30 a.m. and parked in the farmyard in front of the garage. James began removing the truck's front license plate. Stephen took 3 guns from the truck, placing the .22 pistol on the seat and the M1 rifle and the 12-gauge shotgun within reach on the hood of the truck. As James bent to remove the truck's rear license plate, father and son unexpectedly heard a car coming up the farm driveway. It was still long before 10 a.m. when Rudy Blythe was expected. Each with a gun ran and hid, Stephen behind the garage. The location of James Jenkins during the ensuing incident was not determined at trial. Blythe's green station wagon pulled up the driveway and parked nose to nose with the Jenkins white pickup truck. Rudy and Toby got out of the car and began looking around, shouting, "Who is here?" Within minutes, a second car, driven by Susan Blythe, Rudy's wife, pulled into the farmyard. Susan had come to the farm to exchange cars with her husband. The windshield wipers wasn't working on his wife's car, and it was raining that day, and she had to go to Tyler to pick up her kids, so they were switching cars. Rudy told her he thought the white truck belonged to the Jenkins. Susan stood for a few minutes next to her parked car talking with Toby Thulin. As she talked, she watched her husband walk past the station wagon, past the truck, and along the west side of the garage toward a grove of trees that grew behind the building. He did not appear to see anyone, however, and returned to where all three vehicles were parked. While Rudy had been investigating, Susan Blythe heard what she describes as a metallic creaking kind of sound which she later identified as a rattle of old rain gutters piled in the weeds behind the chicken house to the east and back of the garage when someone stepped on them. When Rudy Blythe returned to the car, he told his wife to go get the sheriff because there were trespassers on the property. As Susan Blythe drove away towards the nearest town, she saw her husband once again in the garage grove area and Toby walking east, away from the station wagon, looking around. The physical evidence indicates that almost immediately after Susan Blythe drove away from the farm to fetch the police, a gunman stepped from behind the chicken house and fired 3 shots from the M1 semi-automatic rifle at Blythe and Thulin, who had returned to the station wagon. Quickly, it would appear, because they were headed away from the car in opposite direction as Susan left, one bullet entered the front passenger side window vent and hit Thulin in the neck, severing his spinal cord and killing him instantly. The second bullet lodged in the car door on Thulin's side. The third went through the front windshield through the open driver's side window and hit Blythe in the lower back as he crouched beside the driver's side door. This wound was not fatal, nor did it seriously impair Blythe's ability to run or walk, for he appears to have moved 90 yards west from the car after these first shots. Blythe's path led through the farmyard, along a sidewalk south of the farmhouse, and across the front yard. The second set of 4 shots hit him as he went into a shallow ditch that separates the front yard from County Road 7. He was hit by all 4 bullets. Shot from approximately 90 feet away where 4 shell casings were found. The marksman had also moved 90 yards from the first shooting site. 2 bullets hit Blythe in the side very close together, causing fatal wounds. Another bullet hit Blythe's arm. The 4th passed through his jacket. Blythe apparently died within minutes. Then it goes on to say that Stephen and his father fled the farm immediately after the shootings. Paul Bartz, passing by the old Jenkins farm on County Road 7 about 9 a.m., Paul was off-duty deputy sheriff, just happened to be driving by when this all happened. He turned his truck around to investigate a flashy yellow, which turned out to be Rudy Blythe's jacket in the ditch beside the road. He saw a white Chevy pickup with a rear Texas license plate screaming down the driveway. After leaving the farm, Steve and his father drove to Laverne, Minnesota, which is about 40 miles away, and bought more ammunition, gasoline, and a flashlight, and started for their home in Hardwick. On the road, they encountered a Rock County Deputy Sheriff, Ronald McClure, who turned around and began following them closely. Stephen said his father told him to get out and shoot at the policeman. They turned the truck onto a gravel road. Stephen got out with the M1 rifle and shot 3 times at McClure's car as it passed the intersection. McClure lay down in the seat, accelerated past the intersection, and was not hit. Without returning home, Stephen and his father drove into South Dakota and on to Texas, driving at night to avoid police detection. They arrived at Paducah, Texas on Saturday, October 1, 1983. On Sunday, October 2, Stephen left his father at the abandoned farm where they were hiding and surrendered to Paducah police, saying he was wanted in connection with some murders in Minnesota. Sometime Sunday night, James Jenkins shot himself in the head and died on a county road leading to the abandoned farm. Stephen was brought back to Minnesota in custody. There were 2 books wrote about the murders in Ruthton that I know of. The first one was When Father and Son Conspire, a Minnesota Farm Murder by Joseph Amato. Joseph was a local author. He lived here in Marshall. Really nice guy. I mean, we weren't friends by no means, but if we saw each other, we'd sit and talk. So I like his book the best because he's from this part of Minnesota. He knew what was going on. And then the second book was by Andrew H. Malcolm. It's The Final Harvest in American Tragedy. Now, When Father and Son Conspire, I mean, there's 2 books written about the same subject, but they came at it from different angles. When Father and Son Conspire by Joseph Amato, it was more of a revenge killing. A father blaming all his troubles on a banker and killing him. Now, Andrew H. Malcolm on The Final Harvest, back in the 80s, there's a real bad farm crisis out here. Land prices dropped. The can't even think of the word I'm trying to say. The crops and stuff, they were worth less. All the prices dropped, and a lot of the small farmers lost their farms. So he came from this perspective, father and son Robin Hood. They're revenging losing the family farm. A lot of the farm crisis activists and stuff stood behind that one. It was just the time of the murder. That's it. I mean, both books are very good read. It's up to you, but just it lets you know a little bit more about what was happening around Ruthton in 1983, covers the trials. And then also, if you go on, I believe it's on A&E, it's season 2, episode 15, Ruthton, Tragedy in the Heartland. It was a series on City Confidential. And it's a good documentary. You can actually see they film in this area and stuff. So if it holds your interest, check out City Confidential on A&E. It's season 2, episode 15.
I'd like to thank you all for joining me on this video. It's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. When this all happened, I was 13 years old in Minnesota. This was big news. This don't happen around here. After Stephen and James committed the murders, they were on the run until October 2nd. Nobody knew where they were. Nobody knew they'd went out to Texas. So there was on the news and on the radio, there were sightings in a bunch of little towns. They're going to go back to Ruthton, finish off killing Rudy's wife. So there's all kinds of excitement in the area. The trial happened in '94 after Stephen turned himself in out in Texas. They brought him back to Lincoln County, Minnesota. And the trial happened in the county seat of Lincoln County, which is Ivanhoe. There's a picture of their courthouse. Stephen was convicted first-degree murder in killing Rudy and second-degree murder in killing Toby. He was sentenced to life in prison, which in '94 he would have to serve a minimum of 18 and a half years. On a strange twist of facts, the prosecuting attorney found out in 2009 that Stephen's been in prison for 30 years. He couldn't believe he's been in prison all these years. So he started looking into it. And actually, the man who put him away for life actually got him out, I believe, in 2011. Stephen had to check in with him and things like that, but he was basically a free man. The city of Ruthton made a little memorial for Rudy and Toby in the city park. It's still there. You can go see it today. Just want to thank you for watching my video, and give me a like if you like it. Leave any comments. Let me know what you think. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.